My name's Leonard. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Why are you here?
I suppose I'm here to make friends with you. And your dad's too. But my heart is broken.
Why is it broken?
Because of what I have to do today.
It's crazy. Carrying something that looks like a pick with a chain and a mallet head.
You see, the four of us have a very important job to do. In fact, it might be the most important job in the history of the world.
And welcome everybody back to the channel for tonight's review. Hello, Aaron. Good to see you. Glad you're the first one to came here to the Phantom Zone. Tonight's a bit of an odd night because this is a later review for me, so I'm not going to be too long. This is going to be a non-spoiler, just my first thoughts, impressions, ideas, and what I thought about the new M. Night Shyamalan thriller, Knock at the Cabin, which is M. Night back on his game? Did he make a watchable movie? He had Split and then Mr. Glass, which divided people. Then he had Old, which was not very good or very well received. And this time he has chose to do another book, if you guys don't know, and I might do a side-by-side comparison. Uh, the Cabin at the Edge of the World or something like that is the name of the book, but he has adapted it and renamed the title Knock at the Cabin. And I gotta say, it's good. It's a very good movie. It's very good indeed. Very thought-provoking. When I saw the R rating, I've seen an R rating Shyamalan movie. That was The Happening. As you guys know, it's not the greatest movie. Still love it myself. I find it very humorous. But this was very different. The tone was much on par with what you would expect with this kind of a film. So I'm going to dive into it, give you a little bit of background of who uh, did some of the directing and writing, because this wasn't just M. Night Shyamalan alone, even though he does write and direct the normal credits that he gives himself. And he's also in the movie for a split second, as he does. If you've ever watched an M. Night Shyamalan movie, look out. He's always in the movie somewhere. He's like one of the directors who put themselves in the film. But this movie it stars Dave Bautista and Jonathan Groff and Ben Adelridge. Uh, it was wrote by M. Night Shyamalan, at least the screenplay. The screenplay was also wrote by Steve Desmond and Michael Sherman. So there was a yeah, he always has a cameo. There was a couple of writers, and I think this really helps Shyamalan. Hey, what's up, Lemon Pie? Good to see you. Shyamalan has a problem. He has a problem with dialogue. He is not very good at writing particular scenes. And I wouldn't say all of his dialogue is bad, but a good majority of it is not very good. So I think it helped having a collaborative effort to make the things being spoken, especially with the way that this film is structured, to have other people helping with the dialogue, and it really shows. It does have the Shyamalan camera work, as I like to call it, which works in some movies but doesn't in others. This one, it is very effective. He has some just outrageously good shots in this film, a lot of sweeping camera angles, a bunch of things that where he zooms in on particular characters' faces and stuff like this, and it really does a good service. But before I dive into all the good points, bad points, what I like, dislike, and my overall rating, let me just start off by saying that I have a bias towards Shyamalan, a soft spot in my heart. I saw Sixth Sense in the movies. I seen Unbreakable in the movies. I saw Signs, The Village, not The Lady in the Water, thank God. But most of his movies, I have gone opening day to see them. Even The Happening, saw twice because I was so entertained. Probably not for the reasons he intended it with the film. Avatar was one I only ever saw once, or I'm sorry, Last Airbender. So the biggest question when you go to see a movie, is it worth seeing? Is he back on his game? Well, yeah, it's a damn intriguing film. So the setup is there is a gay couple who are in this cabin out in the middle of nowhere with their adopted daughter. Dave Bautista goes up to her, starts talking kind of crazy talk. She goes running in, and they are trapped in this cabin. Wackiness ensues. So, um, the thing about a movie like this is it's hard to explain because I can only really give you that premise and what I put in the description without giving too much away. But uh, they are essentially, as it says in the trailer, I'm not spoiling anything if you did see the trailer. If not, this is completely spoiler free. I will not be giving any details of the movie. But if you're one of those finicky people who are like, oh my God, that was too much, then, but basically, they are not going to leave until this couple makes a choice. I'm not going to tell you what the choice is, but it's a very, very, very heavy choice. And the fate of the world depends on the choice that they make. So it's a very intriguing premise, and just the structure of what is going on, and when you find out what it is they have to choose, is one of those things that really makes you go throughout this movie like, yeah, hey, what's up, Papa Cotton? Good to see you. Talking non-spoiler for Knock at the Cabin. So, uh, first off, let me get to the actors. The two people who are the highlight, pretty much, Jonathan Groff and Ben Adderidge. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. They play a gay couple with their adopted daughter, and they are fantastic. Going into this, as we know in the new era, you never know what you're going to get when they start throwing this kind of stuff in a film, but they they're their relationship is a focus, but it isn't. It's part of a bigger picture, and it's not. It does drive the story, but it's not the purpose of the story. And you could tell, and even Bitchy, who watched this with me, could tell. Like, the writing was so sharp and so well written that it's never like, oh my God, they're gay, and all these terrible things are happening to them because they're gay. That's not the point of the film. The point is some of the things that happen needed to happen in order for the choice that they have to make that's going to affect everything that goes on in the story. And I think that it takes, especially nowadays, very, uh, very, very kind of artistic and very fine writing to be able to tell this story without going too far one way or too far another way. It's just enough to where you get the point of why individuals see things the way they do, but it's not the actual reason to the story, which is hard for me to explain. I'll do a spoiler because this really needs a spoiler to explain what I'm talking about. But the choice that they make is impacted by the lifestyle, true, but it's not the defining thing about the characters. The characters are fleshed out and have their own motives and uh, their own belief systems that even though you spend what seems like a brief time, even though they do flashbacks explaining each of their positions and what's going on, it's still it's all relative to what's happening. Batista, can we talk about Batista? Dave Batista, holy shit, dude's come a long way. Um, I can't say it's like gonna be a defining like Academy Award winning performance, but there's definitely range. He plays this character named Leonard, and he is menacing, but yet And it was very interesting because Bitch told me this. He has this look on his face where he's an imposing figure, but when you see him, you don't get the sense of danger. It's sorrow. And it's a very interesting way to go about a situation like this. And Dave Bautista plays the role masterfully. At points, he can be intimidating because of his stature, but as a human being, you always feel like there's this layer to his character where he's not this villainous guy you think that he is. And Dave Bautista gives quite possibly one of the best performances I think I've seen him do in any film so far. He has to deliver like almost like a tormented giant kind of thing, a guy who you would be initially scared of, but kind of sort of be like, there might be a little bit more to this. And I think that Dave Bautista really nails the role. Very, very impressed by the way he acted, and it's staggering because I saw him in like Blade Runner, 2024, um, or I think it was 2034, one of the newer Blade Runner, and he was he was fabulous, fantastic in that film, but I don't think a lot of people got to see that side. So seeing this movie, I really got to see that, yeah, this guy can act. He's not just big muscle, beat up people. He has like depth to his acting, and I hope this helps him get other roles because I really think people see him as Drax or, WWE if you go back that far, or an action star, but I think he really does have a future as a legitimate performer, like a honest to God really good actor. And the girl that's in this film, hold on, I'm gonna see if I can look her up. But the little girl in this was absolutely uh, very, very good, captivating. I can't believe it because child actors are really they're really hard to uh, to get to get the roles right. I think that um, your her name is Kristen Chu. Yes, hopefully I'm saying that right. She did a fabulous job too. Little girl in this has to have all of these different sides and throw a fit without you being annoyed and be give this cheerful kind of vibe and then scared and then sad, and she pulls off all of those ranges of emotions to what the film requires. Very good job from the young actress. She did such a great job, and kid actors are a hit or miss. So I think she has a bright future ahead of her. Uh, if she could get more roles like this. Abby Quinn, who plays Adrian, and Rupert Grint, who plays Raymond, they all do a fabulous job. They each do their roles pretty well. Now, there's some good and bad points, and I don't want to be all positive. There is a couple of negatives in here, but mostly, and it could be if I think about it and think about more and do a more in-depth thing, I might find stuff. But for right now, the strongest things is this is shot in one location. There are several other things that they show, but most of it is centralized at this cabin with them just talking and things happening there. It's not just all dialogue, but like I said, this is non-spoiler. Stuff does happen, but it's in one centralized location. And I think this is where Shyamalan really shines, is when he's in these confined kind of stories. If you think about his best tales, Signs was all at one location. Sixth Sense was generally one or two locations. Unbreakable, Split. They're all he really shines when he has everybody in one primary location and he's doing just these different shots and he's highlighting conversations and talks and the drama and the music. That's where M. Shyamalan is really strong at conveying different messages and being able to film the actors and get these great, amazing takes. And I think this really plays to his strengths. And I think with a movie like this, where he's just focusing on a particular group and you're just following this one group, is where his storytelling is the strongest. And you could tell. And just the performances and stuff that he pulls out of people. Uh, there are like only 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 characters all in all. And I think with that small of a cast in this small of a location, he gets the best out of everybody because he's got a smaller group to work with and it's one central location and it's just all this one thing happening and he focuses and hones in on making those really impactful maneuvers and sweeping shots with the camera and the intense focusing when a particular person is talking. This is all his wheelhouse, and he does it well. And people can like or hate him, but the man does have his strengths. And with the story he's telling, this is really in his wheelhouse. Um, Great other thing is there isn't what I like to call the Shyamalan twist. Shyamalan is notorious for always thinking he needs to put a big twist that nobody sees coming. This story is pretty straightforward. The twist, I guess you would say, would be what is happening. But it unfolds very naturally and organically. There's no forced thing that he put in there, and you could feel it in the storytelling. It's very tight. I think the movie was under, I want to say it was under 2 hours. Couldn't tell with all the credits. Yeah, it's 100 minutes, so it's a very tight, um, straight to the point story. And I think that's where Shyamalan shines. Is not these 2, 3 hour fiascos where he's kind of dragging on these beats. It's very concise to the point. Like right from the beginning, stuff happens and it just goes. And there they do flashbacks, kind of fill in the blanks to fill in the characters as you go along. The interesting thing is, certain characters don't get that, but you get a sense of who they are by their interactions with the other 2 people who are in this cabin, and you kind of get a little bit of their backstory. And this is where my negative comes in. The characters who are the ones, in a sense, holding these people in this cabin, they tell their stories, but there's not a lot of like there's no flashbacks to them, like how did they get to this point, what happened. There's none of that. It's a lot through conversation, and you got to really piece together who these people were and what is going on to get to the point that they're at now. And it's told, but I would have liked to be seen a little bit more of showing certain things. There's only one character where you see something physical, but the rest of them is kind of just all conjecture and what you put together hearing them all talk. Um, and it's effective. It works. The main people who are really focused on is this couple and their kid and the process of getting her. And you think you're like sitting there watching a flashback going, well, what does this have to do with everything else? And it does connect very well. It does all have a purpose to what the grand scheme of everything is. But I would have just liked to have a little bit more insight, especially Batista himself has a very fascinating character and he has a lot of screen time, but yet you feel like there's still bits you want to know. And maybe that's the point. Maybe um, with Shyamalan, that's the hook. He does this thing where he makes interesting characters and he'll flesh them out so you know and you feel what you're supposed to feel, but it doesn't give you enough to really be like you know them. It's there's still so many questions. Um, when you get to what the point is, I guess it doesn't really matter, and that's the whole point. But it would have been just not, like if we're doing flashbacks, would have been nice to have more flashbacks on these people and get a little bit more of an insight, so they're a little bit better fleshed out. Um, Also, too, some of the stuff near the ending is a bit confusing. It takes a lot. You got to really, this is not like you really have to focus on this movie and pay very close attention to what that everyone is saying, because everything has a significance when you get to the end. And I think that's a good thing. It's also kind of it hampers some of the stuff that are happening. I'll dive deep more in a spoiler kind of thing, but I can't say too much without giving too much away. So I will say this movie does take very specific attention, like listen to everything that's being said, how everything is done, because it all swings back to what the whole thing is about. Um, the lighting was pretty good. The effects were really, really good. You could definitely tell this was a lower budget, but I'm guessing for whatever the budget was, they really used it effectively. I believe the budget, yeah, that makes sense. It's a $20 million movie. So even if they make like they smash it out of the park this weekend, this movie will make its money back fairly quickly. And this is kind of where M. Night is also good. These low budget kind of intimate tales, he seems to put a lot more work into, and he puts a lot of care into it. And you can tell like a lot of it is focused on the dialogue and these questions the movie asks, and you as an audience are along with these people, like saying, "Wow, is this a choice I could make?" Um, it's very it's very it's very intimate tale. So I really appreciated that. As far as other negatives go, the dialogue was fine. There, it wasn't like knock your socks off kind of dialogue. Is very straightforward, but it did the job. Um, there was nothing really stupid, nothing corny, nothing that really stood out where I was like, "Ah, man, that's so like something he'd normally." It was very like people would speak. And I've had this issue with a lot of Shyamalan movies, is that sometimes I feel like when he's writing the dialogue, it doesn't come off as natural person talk. It comes off as like a script. and but the conversations here flowed. They had a certain intensity to them. Um, the suspense was a lot about the way people were wording things, and then how these conversations sort of started breaking down, and there that's where the tension of this comes in. The R rating was weird because for what gets shown, it's not really like, honestly, I think this could have slid by with a PG-13. I don't know what the MPAA's, whoever the hell their rating system is, but for me, this didn't really feel like a hard R. So if you're going there and expecting a lot of gore, this is not that movie. There is some pretty brutal scenes, but I think that with the way M. Night makes his films, and credit to him, is that he's a lot about what you don't see as opposed to just showing you everything. And, I, as a horror fan, I like the thought of what was happening as opposed to actually seeing it is very effective in this film. There might be some people out there who would be like, man, I wanted to see this like brutal stuff and they didn't show anything. And that might bother you, but a lot of it is more suggestive violence. There is some profanity, so that might have added to the rating, but nothing like out of the ordinary, nothing that really stands out. I guess because they said fuck, it's it's gonna get an R rating. Like I think there's like every if you use more than one fuck in a movie, you get an R rating from that. So I'm thinking the language was more of why they gave it a rated R and not so much the stuff that happens in the film. Um, but yeah, it's very thought provoking. It'll make you think. Um, hey, what's up, Kristen? Good to Good to see you. Um, I think it was a very thought provoking. It really felt like old school Shyamalan again. And anybody who's been an M. Night Shyamalan fan knows what I mean. Like, there was a time where M. Night could make great movies consistently. He did 3 or 4 in a row and then just kind of slipped and then did another 2 or 3. And then Old came out, and I don't know where I land with that. That movie's, but this one feels like he put a lot of passion into it. Like you could tell watching this film, he put a lot of passion, he put a lot of thought, he asked a lot of big questions, and I think for how big the question and everything that he's tackling in this is, I think he does a good job. You will definitely come out of this film thinking about like wow, like like wow. Like for me to accurately like just gush and break down what is so great about this film, I would have to like spoil it. And I'm not going to do probably I won't do a spoiler review until later this week when people have had a chance to see it. And then if you want to come back and know what the choice is, then I'll spill the beans. But for right now, I will say that it goes from like this little thing till you get to the end and you're like, holy shit, like, wow. And it's so cool because the way he sets everything up, it's not fantastical, it's very grounded, and it makes it that much more eerie to when you figure out what's going on. And it's really back to how great his storytelling can be. Um, you know, it's like spoilers for Sixth Sense, but it's like finding out Bruce Willis was the ghost the whole time. Like it's that kind of storytelling where he's clearly had this premise brewing in his mind and he knew what he wanted to do and he pulled out great performances from all these actors. And really too, the premise like this doesn't work if the actors who are in this don't sell it. And I think that he picked very good actors right down to the child actor. Like gonna do some work here, but hopefully we'll see each other tomorrow. Tomorrow again, yeah. I'm definitely um gonna be doing a late night talks, but yeah, for me, this film was thought provoking. It was engaging, and I am very proud to say, uh, M Night in my books. I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think this movie is above average. I think the concept that he's going for and the acting is what elevates this movie for me. For me, anybody could do a horror movie where people are dying, guts are getting ripped out, and the shock value and like with like movies like Scream and stuff like that, the shock value really is, and I go into it for that. But this, I did not know what to expect, and you never do with M Night. But this, I didn't expect to be questioning the meaning of it all and big life choices and existential shit. I wasn't going in with that kind of mindset. And you walk out and you go, holy shit, like, wow, that, that, that made me think. And, you know, I like that. I like a movie every now and again where I could go out and really be thinking about it days at a time. And I think I'm going to do the spoiler review maybe this Monday on Morning Kills or um, you know Sunday. We'll see what my schedule looks like, but probably Monday maybe I'll uh, I'll do kind of a split review. I'll talk about Last of Us because that's going to be spoiler and go into this movie, which I'll do spoilers for. But I want people to have a chance to see this film because I think it is a really great horror movie, and I wouldn't even call it horror, more like a thriller, suspense kind of film. Um, and I think it's not only is it a good kind of psychological thriller type of movie, but it makes you question things, and it makes you value things that you have. It makes you appreciate the things around us because of what the movie is asking the audience and what the movie is showing the audience. I think this is the first movie that has a message, but it's not what you think. It's not like a political message. It's a message about people. It's a message about individuals. It's a message about choices. It's a message about humanity and, you know, the good, the evil. Is it all worth it? That kind of a thing. It's big ideas that you come out thinking like, shit, man, could I could I could what would I do in this situation? That's what this makes you think, and you're sitting there constantly thinking like, would it be worth it? Like, and it's the first time I've come out of a Shyamalan movie in a very long time and had these kinds of questions like Signs made you think about it, and Sixth Sense, and Split, especially the ending when you found out it was a part of Unbreakable, even Glass, like just the way that weaving that kind of storytelling. I think he did a really great job with coming out with a great existential piece on people. And good job, Mr. Shyamalan. Great to have you back. Don't fuck it up, man. Keep going. All right. So, in close, I'm going to say yes. I mean, I liked Glass Lemon Pie. I'm a fan of Glass. Um, but I mean, that's a very divisive movie. I will say, out of every one of these movies, this movie is probably it's probably still going to be divisive. I've already heard a range of opinions. I think there are some people, hey, Generation Productions, just getting ready to wrap things up. Um, I think that there are some people who are predisposed to hate Shyamalan movies because of some of his works in the past, and I understand it. I know Glass disappointed people. I thought it was magnificent, except for how they got rid of Dunn. I thought it was magnificent because that was the point of the movie. Um, I will probably have to do a discussion about that film. I've defended it, um, but this is not that kind of movie. This movie is very philosophical, very broad kind of a thing. So I think that this is one of his better movies as far as a piece with him having something to say and conveying that thought. I think he wants people to think about this film and he wants you to think about the message that the movie is trying to convey. And in that regard, I think he knocked it out of the park. And yes, I would definitely put this above Glass. I would put this, I'd actually, honestly, I have to watch it again, but I would probably put this in my top Shyamalan movies. I would have to say this is probably up there with Signs, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable. I would put it like up there, like Split, all of them. I'd say this was probably even slightly above Split for me. This is a very thought-provoking kind of film. It's not going for shocks and stuff. It's going to make the audience think about what's happening and pay attention and listen. And then when you get to what is going on, it makes you ask questions and it makes you look at people and things like that and really think about certain things. And I'm definitely going to do a spoiler on this, so I can definitely tell you what everything is, because I am getting to see what other people think. But I think it's very clever. It's simple, but it's clever. And I think with him doing movies that are like this, that are simplistic, that's where he shines, where he is passionate, and clearly he was passionate. You could tell by the way this film was made. He was very passionate about this project and what he was going to say and what he wanted to convey, and still keeping true to the source that he got this from, because this is based on a book. And from what I hear, his ending actually is a little bit better than the book ending. So I'm going to go and read the book as well, and then kind of maybe compare and contrast and see where they differ. But I think he did a hell of a job, and it's a very good story. And he did not put too much of his kind of stuff he tends to lean towards, and he just told a great story and brought up these great points, and I think it still gets the message across, and I think it's a good message. It's um, it's heartbreaking, but it's hopeful. It's creepy, but it's honest. It's a very good movie, and I think people should go out and give it a shot. Definitely go check this movie out. And I'm hoping that this is going to be one of my movies. I finally have an M Night movie in my top 10 list, because honestly, I think it's good. I think it's a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. So, anyways, thanks everybody for watching. This is a short review. Like I said, I've been talking for a half hour, and I feel like it's really hard to talk about this film because of how M. Night makes his movies without ruining it. And I don't want to give anything away, because I think that is the power of this film. Go in blind and just watch this movie, and then, you know, kind of be shocked with what, as each thing unfolds, kind of figure it out for yourself. Because when you get to that ending, you'll be like, oh shit, when you find out what the big picture is. And I think that is the best way to view this movie. So hopefully, when I do the spoiler, people would have time to go out and check it out, and then come on back and tell me what you think. And also, too, going to do something a little bit different. In the comments for this video, leave me what's your favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. Let me know. Let me know uh, what your favorite movie of his is. Which one you don't like the most. For me, probably sounds generic, but actually no, there's a top two, but I'd have to say probably for me Unbreakable, with Sixth Sense very close. Um, I would definitely say Sixth Sense for a while, and then Unbreakable. When I saw Unbreakable, it kind of really shifted that position. But yeah, Unbreakable is my favorite. So what's your favorite? Leave it in the comments. Let me know. Um, Click that like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube things. Thank you very much for joining me for this half hour, very brief, non spoiler. Probably didn't tell you shit about the actual premise of the movie, because it's just one of those movies that is extremely hard to talk about. And I really don't want to give anything away. I want you guys to go out and watch it and tell me what you think. Um, oh, thank you, Lemon Pie. I appreciate it. But yeah, go out, check this one out, and join me on Monday for Morning Kills. And I think on Monday I will do a full on spoiler review of this movie. And then I will lay it all out there, and I'll have my little logo going so no one gets spoiled. But um, yeah, but anyways, in the comments below, let me know. And as always, oh, say hi to I will. Thank you for everybody who did join me live. Thank you for everybody who rewatches this video. And yeah, I will see y'all later tonight for late night talks. Have a great evening.